Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Factor X number 4, cover dated June 1995. The cover is by Steve Epting. It's penciled and inked by him, and I really like this cover. This cover with the low angle on Cyclops versus Havok. We have a real sense of titans tussling in this particular image, and also just the sheer hatred that Havok has for Cyclops as well. And I believe the colours on this one are by Glynis Oliver, who is the interior colourist for the issue 2. So let's open this one up to the splash page, and there is a great splash page here where Havok has got what he's always dreamed of. He is now the commanding officer or prelate of the elite mutant force. So we've got quite the image of him there in his position, issuing his first order, which is to kill all of the prisoners in the pens. And so we've got there in the background Dark Beast, the Bedlam brothers, and the Guthrie siblings there as well, Elizabeth and Sam. That's a really great image there. Let's continue, get into the story proper. We've got a double page spread. Our perspective is down in those pens themselves. We see the inmates there, and how despairing and sick they are. And Havok up here on the platform looking down says, "Apocalypse has given us his decree. The pens no longer serve our Dark Lord's purpose. All prisoners will be culled. Let the weak be cut from the chaff. Every last one." So it's time now for mass murder in the pens. Title of the story is Reckonings. The creative team is John Francis Moore, writer, Steve Epting with Terry Dodson, pencilers. So Terry Dodson does 6 pages in this issue. And all the great action pages and the ones featuring Cyclops and Havok are all done by Epting, which is really what you want. Inks by Milgrom, Richard Starkings and Comicraft on digital lettering, Glynis Oliver colorist. So here we have a little bit of back and forth between the Guthrie siblings and the Bedlam brothers, who are not getting on well there. But Terry, the oldest one, makes the point to Sam, "Do you really want to challenge the Bedlam brothers, Guthrie? Just because you made prelate cracker doesn't mean you're any less a punk." So Sam here is about to kick off, but Havok asserts his authority and says, "That's enough from both of you. I want no dissension in my ranks, none." But we're going to see that Havok isn't really the same type of leader that Cyclops was. He's not as good a leader, and he doesn't command exactly the 100% loyalty of his troops. So Dark Beast makes one of his dry comments, the family feud continues, and Havok says, "I'll keep them in line. Apocalypse will see that I'm worthy of command." So Havok is the younger brother, always fighting, always striving for the recognition he believes has been robbed from him by his older brother Scott. So we get some bad news here about precisely his older brother, how there's been a disturbance in one of the sectors, Prelate Summers, the Grey Woman, and an unidentified rebel who's X-Man, who's Nate, X-Man. They have taken out a squadron of guards. So Havok is absolutely disgusted. That's a great 3/4 profile from behind on Havok here, and he launches his plasma blast at that Infinite, blowing him apart. So Havok is really enraged now, and he wants Cyclops found, and he wants his head brought to him. So then we pick up with precisely Cyclops and Jean Grey. So Cyclops and Jean Grey freed themselves. In the previous issue, they were taken prisoner by Havok and the EMF, and then given over to Dark Beast, but they got free. It's a great double page spread here as well. And the pair are discussing their encounter with Nate and how they feel a connection with Nate, X-Man. And Jean Grey makes the point, "And I'm more psionically charged than I've ever been." So they hold hands here, and Cyclops says, "I felt something between the three of us as well. A connection. Yes." So of course, X-Man is the genetic offspring of Scott Summers and Jean Grey in this Age of Apocalypse reality, developed by Mr. Sinister, and as Mr. Sinister's ace in the hole against Apocalypse. So Jean and Cyclops, as they've done so many times in the Prime reality, run together on a desperate mission. And Jean says, "This may sound crazy, but I think in another world things might have been very different for us. Cyclops says maybe, but we can only play the cards we've been dealt and try to keep in the game. And then they run right into the Bedlam brothers. So who are the Bedlam brothers going to be loyal to? Will they be loyal to Havok? Or what about their prior loyalty with Cyclops? And the Bedlam brothers are interesting characters. Really, at heart, they're good eggs, even though they've been serving in the EMF. So Terry here, the oldest one, says, Scott, we fought beside you. We know how you think. The Brain Trust was the logical target, because that's what Scott and Jean are aiming for. They're going to take out the Brain Trust, take out the Black Towers, which keep the prisoners in the pens docile, and also act as security too. So Terry says, give up, don't make us hurt you. That's a great anchor image there of the pair of them. They look super cool there in Epting's drawing. Epting just really doing great work in this issue and throughout the series. Just a pity that he couldn't pencil every single page. But again, maybe that's testimony to the amount of work he was doing. So they work out an accommodation. The younger one, Jesse, says that he thinks he agrees with Cyclops regarding not working for, not taking part in Apocalypse's genocidal machinations any longer. And then he looks to his older brother, and Terry says the fun quotient has definitely dropped around here. So they're not going to stop them. And Cyclops warns, if Alex finds out, you'll be in serious danger. If you succeed in knocking out the Brain Trust, Alex will have other things to worry about, says Jesse. So anyway, here we see the shadows of the Guthrie siblings coming around the corner, and the two brothers here decide that they've made their decision. There's no turning back. No more nights uptown in heaven. After this, they're going underground. So nice little scene there. And then we get the first of the 6 Terry Dodson pages. So he's doing 2 pages here set in heaven. We saw this in the previous issue, that Angel has basically come around to the idea that it's not possible to work as like between the 2 different sides, and he's got to pick a side. He can't be above it all anymore. So he attacks the Infinites, and he has an escape plan that he has had worked out, where he's kept the elevator shaft empty, and it's going to take him all the way down to the subway tunnels, which he'll use to escape. And then there's a little bit of on the nose thinking here from him, where he says, so much for playing both sides. Now I'm just one more fallen angel who'll never see heaven again. Okay, on the nose dialogue there. And then we're back with Steve Epting pages. Just look at the difference. This is so much more sophisticated and competent and just cool art than what Terry Dodson was capable at that era anyway. So here we've got the 2 Guthrie siblings coming around the corner, attacking the Bedlam brothers, and basically the Bedlam brothers best them, and they run off smiling there. So that's pretty good. But there's some funny dialogue here from John Francis Moore, where Cannonball rockets at Terry here, and he says to him, you're dead meat, Bedlam. And Terry says, I don't think so, Sam. You forget that I can fill that backwoods brain of yours with my own brand of telepathic static, and then, farm boy, you couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So that's pretty funny stuff. And then back at the Black Tower. So this is where the 6 brains with psionic or telepathic powers are housed in their vats, and they defend themselves. So Cyclops isn't able to access his optic blasts, and Jean here says the Trust knows we're here and why. They're psychically restraining us. They're not expecting resistance. Have to hit them hard and fast with a telepathic shockwave. So they resist, but she continues her attack. It's a great page. We'll see the outcome here. The bubbling going on in the vat, and then it explodes. So she beats them. Good stuff. Let's continue with the story. And here's the aftermath. They're covered in brain goop, and the Bedlam brothers arrive. And Yeah, Jesse says, this place is a mess. Remind me never to upset Miss Grey. And the Guthries down for the count. Need any other acts of rebellion, asks Terry, and Jean responds, a blackout. So this is what's up next. After taking out the brain trust, he asks Terry whether he can disable the main generators, or he asks the Bedlam brothers whether they can disable the main generators. So that's Jesse's power around machinery, levers, brake gears, clog, circuitry, fuses. So Cyclops is counting on that. And then we're back to Terry Dodson, a couple of pages by him, upstairs. So this picks up on a plot development from the previous issue, where this woman from heaven, the cabaret singer Scarlet, whom Alex has been having an illicit and illegal affair with, she's pregnant with his child, but he doesn't believe it. You're lying, he says to her. This is another one of your tricks. But she says she wishes it was. I took the singing gig in heaven to get close to the mutant officials that frequent the club, but believe me, this was never part of the plan. And Alex recognizes this could destroy everything I gained. He's just thinking about himself, not about their child. Even if I couldn't escape Apocalypse's penalty for interspecies breeding, and then the lights go out. So the generators, the main generators, were disabled, and Havok twigs that it's his brother's doing. But notice how selfish he is as well. He really is a bad egg in the Age of Apocalypse reality. And then more Terry Dodson here later in one of the other sectors. Cyclops is attacking the Infinites there, taking them out. Jean is opening the pens telekinetically. The inmates come out, delighted to be free and determined to run as far away as possible. Then back at Dark Beast's lab, the animal mutants have been brought to him for culling, and he, discerns that he's got no power, is wondering what to do next. The animals, with the Black Tower down and the Brain Trust out of action, are now getting their own thoughts back, and they become obstreperous, and they lash out to kill Dark Beast. But he says, better you should turn tail and run, for it is not without good reason that I'm called the Beast. My claws will find your heart. And one of them flies over his shoulder into the gene pool. So Dark Beast here thinks, fate continues to smile on Henry McCoy, but it's abundantly clear that it's time I moved on to greener pastures. So he's not going to hang around. He sees that it's all going to hell, and he's going to get out and save his own hide. And then we see the inmates. They're confused, and Cyclops says, all of the newly liberated will be picked off like ducks in a shooting gallery when reinforcements arrive. It's not what he wanted. So back then to Epting's art for the last few pages. So great anchor image here of Havok arriving, shooting Cyclops from behind. And he says to him, did you really think I'd let you get away with this, Scott? You've pushed me too far, cost me too much. Now you're going to die. So Jean telekinetically sends a ladder flying at Havok, but he easily catches it and knocks it away. So then Cyclops basically tells Havok to leave Jean be. This isn't about her, he says. This is between you and me. So here we go. This is the big brother versus brother fight. You got that right, says Alex. I've stood in your shadow for too long, picked up the crumbs you discarded. And Cyclops, Havok says there, you may have turned your back on Apocalypse and thrown your life away for the great unwashed, but I won't let you ruin my chance to rise in Apocalypse's ranks. So Cyclops says to his brother, it's insane, we can't hurt each other. Our mutant energies are too similarly charged because of their blood relationship. So they cancel each other out there with this boon. By the way, I want to say at this point, because I have had some criticism of Glynis Oliver's use of digital colouring in previous issues, but I'm of the opinion that she was looking at how those issues printed, and she has now got a better mastery of the use of the digital colouring, because the images are just much clearer. She's fading them out a little bit, but not as much as she was in the original issues of Factor X. And so I think she's got the right balance at this point, and her colours look fantastic. and really match, in particular, Steve Epting's art very well. So here's Havok, like his uniform is shredded. This is a great page as well, where he says here to Cyclops, the first law of apocalypse, survival of the fittest. And he says to his brother, he says, I wish you'd never been born. And that's it. Cyclops says, I know, I've heard you say that all my life. And he basically punches him in the face, double-handed, get over it. So he knocks Havok out with that punch. That's great. This is a great page. And I like the layouts on this page as well. Havok coming forward, uniform shredded, teeth gritted. The 3 panels in the center of the page with this seam between them. Cyclops facing this way to begin with, then winding up for the double-fisted punch, and then just knocking Havok flying towards us, towards the reader. Just really, really well done. And so that's it. Havok is out, unconscious, and Cyclops says he's not going to kill his brother. Jean makes the point, he's out but not dead. That could prove problematic later, but he says, I'll deal with that then. I won't kill my brother. My hands are stained with too much blood from the years I blindly followed Sinister in Apocalypse. And Jean is understanding. She says, this war's made us all do things we regret. But for what it's worth, there's a part of you Sinister couldn't manipulate. Some place that wasn't corrupted by the cruelty and hatred around you. So something essential, something in Cyclops' nature meant that he was capable of redemption. So Jean says she believes in him. He says, that means a lot to me. You mean a lot. And she says, we'll have time to talk about that later, because they've got all these prisoners to safely shepherd out of the pens. And Cyclops makes a big speech, something that he's good at in the prime reality. Free men and women. We have to get off the island now. Follow me to freedom. So they're a little doubtful to begin with, but then they decide they believe and they just want out. So Cyclops says, let's go. Somewhere out there's a better world. I only hope we've time left to find it. It's a really nice anchor image there. Really great work. And then there's a final page, because what about Havok? He's knocked unconscious by his brother, but he's not dead. Later. Great top-down angle there. And then Dark Beast's werewolf, is it Rain? Comes up to Havok, sniffs at him. Havok wakes up and he pushes the werewolf away. And he says, I'm going to find you, brother, and this time I'm going to bury you. And it looks like he means it. Great final page. So, what's coming up next? The final desperate battle between the forces of Apocalypse and the Resistance concludes in X-Men Omega. So every one of these series, on issue 4, the threads are coming together and all pointing towards X-Men Omega for the final battle. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Factor X number 4. If you did, please like the video on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.